Somewhere in the Australian outback right now, a single vehicle is driving down the highway longer than a city block. One engine, one driver, 4 trailers chained behind it, hauling more weight than a fully loaded jumbo jet. It's completely legal. It has been for 70 years, and it exists nowhere else on Earth. Most people guess the same reason, because Australia is huge and empty. Except Canada has more empty land. Russia has more remote land. The US moves more freight every year than Australia ever has. None of them allow this. The real reason involves a collapsed trade economy, a teenager with a welding torch, and a railway system so badly planned it physically split a country in two. By the end of this, you won't look at a normal semi the same way again. Quick clarification, because it matters later. This isn't a bigger truck. A normal rig anywhere else is one cab, one trailer. This is a single prime mover legally dragging 2, 3, sometimes 4 full trailers as one connected unit, inspected and permitted as a single vehicle, not a truck with extra cargo strapped on. Now picture controlling that at highway speed for 10 hours, with nothing around you but red dirt in every direction. Here's the twist. This idea wasn't even born in Australia. American engineers were testing multi-trailer rigs as early as the 1910s. Someone was always going to ask, why stop at one trailer? But in the US, it hit a wall fast. Narrow roads, strict weight limits, and a railroad industry with zero interest in watching trucks steal its business. The idea quietly died before it ever became standard. So if it failed everywhere else, what made Australia different? To answer that, we have to go back before trucks existed at all. In the 1800s, settlers tried moving freight by horse through the outback. The desert killed them. No water, brutal heat, days between stops. So they brought in something tougher. Camels, along with cameleers, brought over from Afghanistan and Pakistan to handle them. By 1900, thousands of camels were hauling mail, machinery, and mining gear across distances no wagon could survive. Here's the part most people skip. These weren't single camels wandering alone. They moved in long, connected lines, one handler, one continuous chain, crossing hundreds of miles as a single unit. That's not a coincidence. That's the exact blueprint. Decades before the first engine ever turned over out there, Australia had already built the logic of the road train, just running on camels instead of diesel. Then, in the 1930s, one imported truck quietly ended that entire economy. Faster, cheaper, and within a few years, an industry that had run the outback for 50 years simply collapsed. But trading camels for one truck wasn't the real breakthrough. The real problem was mechanical, and almost nobody could solve it. Chain multiple trailers behind one cab, and the back ones don't follow a straight line. On a tight corner or a river crossing, the last trailer swings wide and flips. The man who actually solved it wasn't an engineer with a degree. He was a bush mechanic who'd been driving the desert since childhood, working with salvaged leftover military parts. His first attempt failed almost immediately. The rear trailer jackknifed on its very first river crossing and nearly tore itself apart. So he rebuilt the whole steering system from scratch, using parts off old army gun carriers. So every trailer behind the first one tracked the exact path of the truck ahead of it, automatically, corner for corner. That single backyard fix, built from someone else's scrap, is the only reason any of this works safely today. But a working trailer doesn't explain why Australia needed this so badly. For that, blame the railways. When Australia's colonies built their own railways in the 1800s, each one picked a different track width, independently with zero coordination. Result: trains couldn't cross between regions at all. Every border meant unloading freight by hand and reloading it onto a different gauge train. Even soldiers had to physically switch trains mid-journey during wartime, because the tracks underneath simply didn't match. While other huge countries finished unified rail networks by the late 1800s, Australia's stayed broken for over a century. A fully connected national line wasn't finished until the 1980s. The route linking the north to the rest of the country didn't open until the 2000s. For most of the 20th century, huge stretches of the country had no working railway at all. Other nations solved distance with trains. Australia was forced to solve it with trucks because the trains had already failed. That's the actual answer to this video's title. It was never the desert. It was a railway system so fractured that trucks had to fill a gap nothing else could. And here's the part that flips the usual order. Normally, trucks adapt to existing roads. In Australia, starting in the 1960s, the government rebuilt the roads specifically to fit these convoys. Wide, dead straight highways stretching hundreds of miles between fuel stops, with entire roadhouse towns growing up around nothing but the need to refuel. This industry didn't squeeze into existing infrastructure. The country reshaped its roads around it. Today, in the cattle country up north, triple-trailer convoys move beef-bound for tables across Asia and the Middle East. In the iron-rich West, similar convoys haul ore that becomes the steel in skyscrapers, shipping containers, and the car in your driveway. But here's the detail that changes everything. Western Australia produces roughly half the world's lithium. Before that lithium ever reaches a battery factory, before it becomes part of a phone, a laptop, or an electric vehicle, it spends its very first leg of the journey strapped behind one of these multi-trailer giants, crossing hundreds of miles of empty highway. So if you're holding a phone right now, or you drive an EV, there's a real chance something inside it started its entire journey behind a vehicle longer than the room you're sitting in. And despite holding up entire industries, these convoys are banned from most Australian cities outright. Get close to a populated area, and the rig has to stop, get broken apart into ordinary trucks, and finish the trip in pieces. The vehicles propping up half the country's economy aren't even allowed to finish the journey themselves. So this was never really about Australia being big and empty. It's about a country whose railways failed for 100 years, whose original transport system collapsed overnight, and whose only way forward was one mechanic, alone in the desert, solving a problem governments and companies couldn't. Next time you're stuck behind an ordinary semi on the highway, remember? Somewhere on the other side of the world, there's a version of that exact truck 3 times the length, hauling triple the weight, on a road built specifically to carry it. And it's not allowed within 100 miles of a city. So tell me, does the size still surprise you most, or is it the fact the country built its roads around the trucks instead of the other way around? Drop it below. If you want the next hidden story like this one, leave the topic in the comments. And if this kept you watching till the end, you know what to do. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.